So my name is Elisa Van Arnhem. I know a lot of you, and I'm one of the co-founders of SoulKu. We are a inspirational, meaningful jewelry company, and we have been in business since 2011. And yeah, so currently we employ 18 female staff members here at Hatchworks in our new offices right over there. And we also have a group of 30 work from home moms who create all of our products. Last year, we were ranked number 944 on Inc. 5000, fastest growing. That was an incredible thrill for us, obviously. Really exciting. We were just blown away by that number. So our company mission has always been to empower and to be in service. And something that is really important to us is just making sure that everyone that we come into contact with feels empowered and understands that it's really our goal, our mission to be in service to them. And so whether that's our employees who we work very, very hard to promote from within. We work very hard to find someone's zone of genius and move them in that direction. Most of the people who work for us currently started out when there was just a couple of us, and everyone has worked in fulfillment. Megan, sitting right here, who is now our head of marketing, who worked part-time in fulfillment and worked her way into full-time marketing and now runs our marketing department and is absolutely fantastic about it. And she did have that coming in, but it's Asheville and you gotta start somewhere when you move here. So, do the next slide. Oh, I missed you. Sorry. So just a quick overview of like where we began. Allison, my partner, and I, we started with pass and track cards. We still, with this whole idea of being in service to the community, being in service to people at large, we created inspirational cards that you could track by scanning a QR code to your email. You could register it and you could leave it for someone, you could give it to someone, and they could do the same thing. They could pass it and track it, and you could see it move across the United States from person to person. Unfortunately, once people received these cards, they did not want to give them away. They were like, this is my card, this is for me, I'm not, and in a way, it was like a social network, and people had Facebook and all kinds of things at that point. So we changed our focus a little bit to other cards, just inspirational cards that were like, namaste, you could hand it to someone who carried your groceries for you, or you could give a thank you card to someone, just random acts of kindness. Those did not sell very well. We came up with another set of cards that you would use at dinner party. I mean, it goes on and on. In order to get these cards, we had to order about 20,000 at a time. And at one point, Allison and I looked at each other and said, okay, we have 18,975 cards. And they're not selling. What do we do? So we doctored these cards. And we came up with the simplest thing that we could come up with, which was a gemstone on a cut relay. Actually, in the beginning, they were just cut glass crystals. And we put them onto a nylon cord because we had no jewelry experience, but we thought, hey, well, we've seen this before, we could try this, see if this works. We talked about the healing properties of the gemstones or the cut glass crystals, and a little sticker, we put it onto the card, we cut the card in half, and we threw it up on our website. Somehow, by, I don't know, the grace of the universe, a rep company out of California found our website and called us and said, we'd like to represent your line. And we were like, we have 4 pieces. Okay, sure, yeah, go for it. And because of them, we turned our dyeing card business into a jewelry business. So the Mama made piece of it really happened organically. Allison and I made everything sitting at her kitchen table. And at some point we had enough orders where we were like, we really need some help here. And so we asked our friends who were also stay-at-home moms if they had time and if they were interested. And then it just kind of grew from there. So we now have 16 different necklace collections, 6 bracelet collections, and 4 earring collections. And we have grown our business significantly. Our wholesale, I believe we're in about 1,300 stores nationwide. And we have a thriving online business as well. And this is how our cards now look. So we zhuzhed it up a little bit, as Megan likes to say. Everything is mounted to a card, and it is signed by the mama who made them. And on our website, you can go and look up the name of the mom who made your necklace or bracelet or earrings, and you can get a little bit of her story. And so there's this wonderful connection that happens between the person who purchases this or the person that wears it and the people who make it. And to us, there are lots of other jewelry brands out there that are on cards. This is really what makes us different and makes us stand out, is that people have a personal connection to us. And they also understand that we're creating this service by having people who have a difficult time finding work and childcare to have that happen. They are able to work from home and can do it at their own time, in their own schedule, and they're able to provide for their family, able to contribute to their family, and it works out really well for everybody, and still they are able to be present for their kids. So that's really important to us. So we're going to talk a little bit before the pandemic and then into the pandemic. So in February of 2019, the majority of our business, 85% of it was wholesale. We were only 15% selling online. In March of that year, we hired a digital marketing agency, and this was, I think, the 5th or 6th digital marketing agency that we have tried. Any of you who have worked with digital marketing agencies know it can be a difficult task to find the right fit and to find somebody who's really gonna work for you and really knows what they're doing. It's a really special fit. That year, we were absolutely blown away. We went from doing $17,000 online a month, or $15,000 online a month, to $170,000 in 1 month. And then that continued. It really grew. We were like, this is unbelievable. We hired tons and tons of mamas. We upped our staff. We, were just running around with our heads cut off in such a beautiful way. And then once the pandemic hit, people stopped shopping in stores. Our wholesale sales obviously completely tanked. No one was, for at least 3 months, they were completely dead in the water, but everyone was shopping online, and that was great for us because, of course, the margins are so much better online than they are in wholesale. Wow. So then, Apple introduced the 14.5 ISO changes. And for those of you that don't know exactly what that means, basically, the ISO is the operating system that all the Apple phones are on. And they, in the name of privacy, which I'm all for privacy, and we are, that this is a huge hit to small businesses. So basically what happened is now when you updated your phone, it said, hey, do you want to receive advertisements? Do you mind if someone, a company, is following you around the internet or making advertisements that are tweaked to you? So you're going to be fed. They're getting your information. They're gathering the information from you. And they're going to feed you advertisements that line up with the things that you like when you click on Facebook or you click on Instagram. So all of that was wiped out, and it took a while. Like, I don't update my phone when it tells me to. Most people don't. It takes a while. You don't do it. Your phone dies at some point, and then it'll update on its own. So it took a little while. But once that really hit in, 95% of people said, I don't want to get advertisements anymore. And that was driving a ton of our online revenue. So our online sales then fell by 30%, and then they fell by 40%, and they fell by 50%. And we have really struggled to get that back up and to understand that piece of having a small business, not being a big box store or something like that. We don't have the money to advertise on television or those sort of things. And lots of small businesses were growing by leaps and bounds because of these wonderful ability to advertise on Instagram and Facebook. And now that that's out of the way, we've had to rethink everything. We fell down hard and it hurt. Next one. So what we learned that I think is just really important to keep in mind is that as a small business, it is never a good idea to keep all your eggs in one basket ever. Even though something is going really, really well and you think it's going to last forever, after having done this for now 10, 11 years, it's like you see there's always a way. There's always a way. There are great times when you think you're on top of it all, and then something will change, especially with technology. Like, we can count on the technology changes. I wish we had anticipated this a little bit better. Our digital agency continued to speak to us about it and say, well, we're going to get, because the other thing we lost was just the ability to gather data. We weren't able to even track if a sale happened here on Instagram, that it was because of an advertisement that we had. We couldn't even track the data. So we lost so much information as well. So we had to get really smart, really fast, and try really hard to understand lots of different platforms like TikTok or Snapchat. And I mean, I'm not a TikTok fan and don't know much about TikTok, and we have struggled. And it's not really our venue, and we don't really think it is, but there is stuff happening there organically. And I think saying yes to stuff, even though you're like, I can't look at it, I can't stand this. Sometimes you have to do that to remain relevant. It really is important. And I think that that's a big thing. It's like that fear where you feel like we're not going to do this right. You have to let that go and just do it and try and see what happens. What we have found lately is that the less hard we work on creating something produced and beautiful, the better it does. So, and that's a hard lesson for us because we are a group of overachievers and perfectionists. And also to have multiple sales channels. Luckily, we do have wholesale, and wholesale since the pandemic has been over, or not over, it has go. It is where it is right now. Since that has happened, our wholesale sales have gone back up again. And I think right now we're at about 50-50, 50% wholesale, 50% online. But also, like, where else can we sell? What other doors can we open? Because once you have that kind of growth and then you have all of these employees, at the end of the day, if we're in service to those employees, we want them to keep their jobs. And so we've got to keep looking around. How else can we sell SoulKu? Where else can we go? What else can we do? So luckily, all throughout this time, part of our investment in those advertisements in Instagram or Facebook were building our email list. Email list is key because no one else has control over that at this point. Google's going to make some changes soon, some more technology, but our email list grew from about 7,000 to like 280,000 people on the email list. And that has been our bread and butter for our online sales, like kind of building a bridge while we try and figure out what to do to change this. We've diversified our advertising tremendously to really include Google. Google search, which if you do have a product, Google search is amazing. And stuff that we didn't really realize, people are shopping on Google way more than they're shopping on Instagram or Facebook, and that just makes sense. You know, you're Googling something, chances are you're looking at it, you're interested in it. If you're just looking on your social feed, that's not what you're there for, you're not there to shop. We have worked on now opening up programmatic ads, which is just like a huge network across all of the internet. It's the weird ads that you see when you go to websites and there's something over here on the side. We've opened that up, and Pinterest as well. We've tried Pinterest before, feel like that's a really good fit for us, and it hasn't worked, so we're kind of retooling that. We are investing in developing our SEO, something that we didn't really think would make a big difference for us as a jewelry company, because SEO seems to be like crawlable information that you're looking for. But we spent 2 years developing a whole encyclopedia of the healing properties of gemstones. So if you're going online and you're like, well, how does Amazonite help me heal? Or what is Ammonite? What are the healing properties of Amazonite? Our SEO can show up there. We're still exploring TikTok and Snapchat maybe. And we've opened up new sales channels. So we used to be on Etsy a long time ago. We reopened it. We're like, let's see what happens. Let's do it. Who cares? We are now on Amazon Handmade, which was something that we really struggled with, but feel like mainly we struggled with it because of our wholesalers who don't like to carry products that are on Amazon. During the pandemic, though, we did offer for all of our wholesalers who had pivoted and sold online that we would let them sell our products online as long as they were at the same price points as ours online, so they're not underpriced. So we feel like, hey, we're having problems now. Help us out. And Global ShopX, which is a online marketplace, international online marketplace, and all of the issues that we've ever had with shipping overseas, paying back taxes, and all of that sort of stuff, they're handling for us, which is just a huge boost for us. So as we continue to expand our, where can we go, where can SoulKu be? We do have a dream of opening a retail shop in Asheville. And we have been unable to find a space that would be suitable for us. We really don't want something that's like off a beaten path. We want to be centrally located somewhere downtown. And we really don't need that large of a space. We also kind of have this dream that there could be a community space for female entrepreneurs in Asheville, that maybe 10 of us could go in together and have one shop that's all about what's happening with the women in Asheville. So that's really our community ask at this point. If you hear of or know of any pieces of real estate that could become, that are open, we could go anywhere from a pretty small closet to a very large space if we do like a female co-op place. So that's it. All right.
All right, who has a question that they'd like to ask? All right, Jeffrey Catherine. Hi, Jeffrey.
I also
It's
thank
Jeffrey.
you. It was a great presentation. I have 3 questions for you. Sure. Looks like it, you two obnoxious. I'm really interested in founder development. What formative experiences you had to make you the entrepreneur you are today? And so when you look at the competency of the ability to focus and adapt, or having high tolerance for ambiguity, that's taking you through 11 years of this business. What formative experiences in your past have helped you have this high tolerance?
Being a mom.
Question 2.
Everything you just said, you know.
So question 2 is when you hire people, like, is it Megan? When you hire Megan, who comes in a part-time fulfillment role, how do you kind of give them that promise that one day you could be our head of marketing? You know, what do you look for in an employee to have that same kind of tolerance other than just being a mom?
I can speak for what I think it is. We have some really amazing women who have come forward to work with us. And while we couldn't pay them what they deserved from the beginning, I think they believed in what we were doing. And I think they believed in our business model. And I can't even tell you how lucky I feel with the people who have come forward to work with us. There are such people of integrity. They work so hard. They take it so personally. And I think it matters that it feels like when our product goes out there into the world that it's touching people's lives, that they're affected by that. It's not another like, we're gonna do this today, and there is a lasting effect of the product. And the product, really, we've always said it, it's just a vehicle. It's the same thing as the cards. It was just a vehicle to connect people, to inspire people, to empower people. And so I just think we got really lucky, and being in Asheville, where people are way overqualified and they're willing to take a pay cut to get on the ground floor of something that they believe in. I really think that's it.
Last question.
Yeah.
You recently had a marketing campaign where if you just signed up for yourself or another mom, you get a free necklace.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like how that idea came about? What was the plan with the campaign? How do you track something like, here's a free necklace?
Okay, so this is gonna get super woo-woo, but we believe very much in animal medicine. And the animal medicine for SoulKu has always been the turkey. And
I love everybody.
So the thing about the turkey is that you give away when you don't have anything. So it's we were feeling lack and scarcity and limitation. And so, and we were also just recognizing that moms who have young children right now and throughout the pandemic have struggled so much to balance work. We've seen it in our offices. We've seen it out in the world, women just like at the edge, just needing some extra little oomph to get them through the day. And we felt like we needed to just do something. So, we had necklaces that we had discontinued. We have a donation location in our office where if something's not quite right, or we've discontinued something, or we're not going to sell it anymore, we have it there. And why just have it sit there? So we said, anybody that wants one can have one. And that's, and that's just the good juju that, we try and just keep put out into the world. It's important. It's important for us and for the people that received it.
So I want to know, I want to be a fly on the wall during your business meetings. I want to know, I do, and I want to see the agendas, and I'm fascinated. So what does a regular day look like for you?
Because I am the sort of creative side of SoulKu, I'm not the numbers person. That is not my. Everybody knows that I can't spell, I can't add. Nobody wants me in that area. So I have split up my weeks where I have at least 2 days where I am totally creative, and whether that's writing emails for the company or creating, designing cards for us, or coming up with new plans for marketing or that sort of stuff, just in that headspace. And then I have 3 days where I take meetings where Allison and I meet, where I'm involved in understanding what's happening in production, and then we're taking phone calls with our at our agencies and things like that. So I finally figured that out, but I can't toggle between creative and the administrative stuff in one day. I have to separate this out, and so that's really we have lots of meetings, lots of Zoom calls, and then I have time by myself to create.
Hello there. First of all, very well done on all, great presentation. And just related to your ask, one of the things that I'm seeing you've done very, very well is every single product you sell is an experience. It's not just a product, and you've done a very kind of thorough job at that. And I think about your ask in creating a retail shop in Asheville, but have you thought of the idea of potentially using your experience and creating a network of pop-up shops around the country in cities like Asheville? So instead of a single retail place in one single location, use the special secret community power of SoulKu to empower moms in other communities around the country, Santa Fe, Asheville, wherever your biggest sales are from, and create almost like a kit for pop-up shops. And pop-up shops seem to be a really buzzing thing now. So on your way to a retail environment, possibility for pop-up idea. Just a thought.
Absolutely, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Unfortunately, right now, we can't, because that would be wonderful too, if the mamas in that area were the creators of the jewelry and not going all the way back to Asheville. And the thing that we think about, what would be so great about having it in Asheville is that this could be part of your thing that you do when you come to Asheville. You go to the SoulKu store. But I love that idea. It's hard for us to have people out of town make our stuff, because if we have to ship them raw materials and then they have to ship it back and all of that. But I think just a pop-up shop that would just be for the Asheville makers is a great idea. Yeah, well, it's a great idea. And even here, a pop-up, I mean, we'd be happy to do 3 months to see if it works, That would be great.
Yeah, kudos on what you're doing. I think it's really phenomenal with you.
They
I think it's fantastic. Just the way you pivoted from a car company to a jewelry company. And what really strikes me is just the emotion, like just hearing, I want to come up and hug you before. But seriously, really, this is the connection that you have, obviously, with the community, and the other part is the women who are doing this. And I think it's super important, especially now, the power and empowerment that women are doing this. So my question is, have you thought about partnering with even whether it's a huge company, whether it's Autism Speaks or breast cancer, some other company that you partner with that has a similar values and belief and culture, and really focusing on that personal aspect of women empowerment?
We do work locally with several nonprofits. One of them that we have just been lockstep with is Open Doors of Asheville. And Open Doors really gives kids who are at risk an opportunity for tutoring, for after-school activities, rides to soccer practice and back. All the things that you have kind of as a privileged kid that you don't recognize, like, oh, these kids, they don't have a ride, so they can't play a sport for school. Their whole thing is breaking the cycle of poverty through education. And we have worked with them for 3 or 4 years now. There was actually a domestic violence incident that happened, and one of the girls in the program was killed. And her friends came to SoulKu and designed a bracelet in her name. I'm actually wearing a bracelet. And all the proceeds, all the profit from that has gone back to Open Doors. So we are always wanting to partner with other organizations that share our goals and our hopes. So yes, we do.
Just probably is working. That's good.
That's okay.
So also Open Doors, that's really good. It sounds like you all have a very intuitive way of growing your business and feeling your way through a lot of things, which I think is extremely important to feel what you can't necessarily prove. But I'd love to understand how that balances now with this massive thing that's now running all the time. We're trying to understand how to feed and grow, and, quantify how the quantification of data, especially in marketing, fits with the intuitive side that's helped you all have this non-linear path.
I think that we, had this mission, which is to be in service. And so all the decisions that we make, we go back and we say, are we in service? Are we in service? Like, we get lost, for sure. We get lost, we have meetings, I'm like, oh, I don't even, this is not making me happy, or this isn't working, or, all of those sort of things. And I think when we get lost, when we walk far away from, we're in the weeds with it, and it loses its meaning. We keep coming back to that mission of being in service. How are we in service? And I think that that's what's kept us going. Allison has a degree in risk management for insurance, and I came from a music video commercial production background. We don't have anything that would be like, oh yeah, I can see how you could run a multi-million-dollar company. But I think, again, it's going back to being in service. And it's also, we run our company like we would a household. When there's not enough, you don't buy more. You eat rice and beans until you figure it out. We've been incredibly financially conservative, and that has worked so well for us. And we just keep going back to that mom instinct it's remarkable to me when people want to talk to us about our leadership style, or say, like, you need training in leadership, and and we're like, maybe we do, but we've gotten really far. I mean, like, how did we do this without knowing? And I think we have run it like a household. And, we kind of have a good cup, bad cup thing too. We've got the, Allison's a little more, she'll say it. I'll be like, I'm not going to say it. But so, it's like a mom and dad kind of situation sometimes. So, yeah. I just hope that answers your question.
Hi, Elisa.
Hi.
Good to see you. I'm a huge fan ever since the cards. I really wish I had done the distance as a game designer. I was really curious about that. And all my kids, they all wear the SoulKu stuff, and I just broke last week. Yeah, we're going to stream it together. One organization that you might want to look into is Seek Healing. They're working on solving the opioid addiction epidemic through human connection, and they have been up here right at the United Way building, so they would be a good organization to connect with. I think aligning missions.
Yeah.
The question that I have is, I know you mentioned it, but you all just moved on the other side of this wall into this beautiful space over here. What is that space going to enable SoulKu to be able to do now?
Move around without running into each other. To start, we moved from 2,200 square feet to like 6,200 square feet. So we have a lot more space. We have rooms that you can close the door and have private meetings. I think it'll allow for more expansion for us. And I think it's like a huge boost for our morale to be in a space that is surrounded by the entrepreneurial community here in Asheville, as well as like the coffee shop. Everybody's super happy about that. That's good. But yeah, I think it's just going to help us to be able to expand. There are billions of people out there, and not so few of them actually know about SoulKu. And we really feel like we can get our mailing list up to 1 million. We can double our business. We can do that. So it's really a place for growth for all of us, and also anchoring us into this community even further.
And you had some challenges with 14.5. Since that all happened, what has been the most successful branch that you have tried? Because there's a lot of things you can do.
Google search, investing money in Google shopping. Google has, because we were on Google before, but not really understanding it the way that we understand it now. So really, Google search, Google paid advertising, Google has done that for us. Yeah, I mean, and it hasn't bridged the gap by any means. We need to invest in 7 different platforms in order to get what we were getting out of those 2. And we're still really at this point not even sure if we want to stay with Instagram and Facebook anymore, for many, many reasons, but it just doesn't seem to be working. We're putting a lot of money into it, and it's not giving us the return that we need.
I just want to say you are a fantastic storyteller.
Oh, thank you.
There's a lot of, you just sense a lot of the emotion, the value in it. And your story is a roller coaster. I mean, how you went from pivoting and then the pandemic and then iOS and all that. So just thanks for a great presentation. I had a small question, but I'm wondering, and I might be wrong, but I'm guessing that there's probably a lot of price competition in your industry, and you might be competing against things that are maybe made in the developing world for lower prices. And I'm wondering sort of, how do you sort of tackle that, price-based challenge and differentiate your product? I'm guessing that probably a higher price to be sustainable.
We do have lower priced items that sell really well. And because we're so wholesale oriented to begin with, we needed to keep our price point down to a certain level in order to be successful at wholesale. I don't think we're that far off from a lot of very similar jewelry. And the thing that just distinguishes us is, this was handmade in the United States, and the person's name is written on the card. So it's instantly. It's not made in China. It's not mass produced. When we found out, we did a lot of research. When we first did our very first pitch with Venture Asheville, I can't remember the billions of dollars that the jewelry industry does every year, but it was something like $62 billion. And then to find out somebody like Kendra Scott, who had this, I don't know, you might not know jewelry, but Kendra Scott is a big name in jewelry, and her margins are 90%.
90%.
Because everything's made in China, and they're paying someone $2, a day. It's not right. That's not right. So we do have a higher price point, but I also think, definitely starting with the millennials, and I don't know if it's Gen Z underneath the millennials, they are really concerned about where they spend their money, and they are really conscientious about it, which is so awesome, because they will not buy something that they don't know where it comes from, or what if there's any integrity behind it, or at least they will search for things that have a story and integrity, and aren't mass produced and aren't built on the backs of slave labor. So that isn't it's harder to do, to have all of these women, 30 of them, working at home and bringing their stuff in. There's no one overseeing them. We go through, our QC person goes through and pulls dog hair out, and it comes with its own set of issues. Just as it would be a different set of issues if people were all sitting with us every day. We were overseeing all the bench work. But it's worth it, I think, because that is what differentiates us. Yeah.
Hey, how are you? I don't know if you can hear me. I don't need the microphone, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
There we go. That works. Like I said, I really don't think I need the microphone.
well, but that's all right. Well, first of all, your story, from what I'm hearing, is a lot of creativity, and I love that. I think that that's amazing that business owners operate from that creativity. My question to you is, as you expand, what systems maybe stop you from that creativity as you continue to expand into new markets, new territories? What are you worried about keeps you up at night, so that stops that, new product from being launched because you're trying to get through a system as you continue to, make millions and influence moms all over the world?
Good question. Yeah, that's a really good question. Sometimes it's internal systems that keep us up at night. It's almost been 2 years now that we've been with NetSuite. We moved from running everything on Excel spreadsheets to a major operating system that does everything from, keeping track of accounts to every little bead in our system is tracked. And I mean, this was such a huge undertaking and really was very challenging and difficult. And maybe we did it too early. We're really glad that we have it now and we're not going through it and we're not gonna have to switch systems later on. We'll never have to switch systems. But that was really hard. And I think the other thing that really stops us is our supply chain of gemstones. We do get our stones out of China and out of India, and we have relationships with the people who procure those stones and cut those stones for us. They have relationships with the factories, and they go and they see and they know, just FYI, that it's not kids working there cutting stones and things like that. But that's a big challenge because because we will get really excited about a stone, we'll get it in, we'll create a design for it, we'll do the whole thing, and then we'll be like, ooh, did anyone wear this for a while to make sure that it fits right or that it's not wonky or, the things that we assume are okay. And sometimes we go through a whole process and then we realize, oh, you can't get that stone wet and we're ready to sell it next week. And so I think there are some internal things that we need to continue to keep developing, but really it's the time frame. It's so frustrating to want to get something out into the market and know that you will not be able to do that. You cannot respond to trends for 6 to 9 months, sometimes a year, and then it's not a trend anymore. So that is a difficulty that we have, for sure.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. Thank you so much for sharing your story. This has been really inspiring. Thank you. I think it's super having me. Thank you. I want to say thanks to all the organizers, Andy, Obi, Jess, Alex, John Captain. We're as a community, and we are looking for presenters. We are looking for sponsors. Everything is in kind. We can't accept any monetary donations. So if you have a resource that you want to share, whether it be presenting or some sort of in-kind donation, we would love it. And I need to give the shout out to all the sponsors. Bay Point Wealth, SCORE, Hatch Foundation, Hatch Co-working, Cirilla, who will be bringing the beverages next week, Pop Benefits, Venture Asheville, Brand Standards, Mountain BizWorks, the Van Winkle Law Firm, Viking Mergers and Acquisitions, and Cooperative Coffee. So thanks to all the people who supported. Last question?
Oh, yeah.
Have you explored fair?
Yes, we're on here.
Okay.
We're about to open up advertising.
Thank you all so much. It's fun.
Alicia, thank you.